so I am going to show you how I tie my version of the patch rubber leg. What's really cool about fly tying is you can use your own artistic genius, tie these however you want, multiple colors, multiple leg patterns. Most important thing for me on these is the lead, and I'll show you how I do that because I like really heavy flies. But do it the way that works for you, and these kings can actually fish really well. All right, so we're going to start off with a bent streamer hook. This is a size 8. This is a Kumoto K5263B. Really, you can tie this with any big hook. I just happen to like that bend a lot. And like when it comes to tying these things, there's so many ways to do it. This is just how I do it. So, Nanosilk brown 6/0 from Semperfli. I'm gonna go ahead and start this off. Whoops. Never mind the dogs. They're a little nuts tonight. Trim off the end, and then I'm going to get a nice thread base going back and forth here. I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the antenna right now. I'm using Sexilegs, and the way I like to do it is I'm just going to take one of these and I'm going to make a V. And I know some of you are going to say that's wasteful, you know, whatever. This is how I like to tie them. So make a loop, and I'm going to tack that loop down. And a little bit of thread pressure splits it open. I'm going to trim off the back side of that loop. My antennae are in place. So now I'm going to come back here. Again, I'm wanting to get a good thread base down because that's what my lead is going to glue to, so to keep it from rolling. Come all the way back here to the bend of the hook, and I'm going to drop that bobbin. Then I'm going to come to put some super glue down. Okay, that helps hold the lead in place so the fly doesn't roll. And this is 0.25 lead. Yes, I put it in an old bobbin. This is the very first bobbin that I had when I started tying. And I'm just going to come down here. And I'm going to wrap it up towards the end of the hook. I do not like using split shot, so I like to make these very, very heavy. And this is where this one gets unique. I used to say that I only tie what I can't buy, and this is the case with these because you can't buy them like what I'm about to do. So now I'm going to take that lead, and I'm going to double back over, and I have 2 layers of lead. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here to the end, and it broke off anyway, so that worked out. Now, this is where it gets unique because I am going to take a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm going to flip my fly over, and I'm going to smash the lead, so it's flat. And you'll see what that does to the body contour when we're done with this fly. Okay, so now nice and flat across the top, and it's going to be very, very heavy. Okay, so time for a tail. I'm going to do the same thing back here with the tail that I did with the antenna. That is, going to take these silly legs, or these sexy legs, and make a V, tie in the loop. A little bit of pressure so it rolls it up on top. With enough pressure from that thread, it just splits it for you automatically. I'm going to pull this up, trim that loop out, and let's start the chenille. This is just a molded sparkle chenille from Jimmy's, my local fly shop. And I'm going to take the chenille, I'm going to tie it in so the end is up here by the lead, because that makes it all look, makes the world right. Anchor that down nicely. And I'm going to leave that hanging out back there because now I'm going to start attaching legs. Okay, now you can tie these with 4 legs. You can tie these with 6 legs. You can tie these with however many legs you want. I like them to look super buggy. So I like doing 4. So I'm just going to lay one across the flat part of that lead and start making some wraps across the top, like so. I'm not too worried about where those legs are going right now because I'm going to manipulate them with the chenille. I'm going to come back, cross it over. And I'm going to move up just a little bit midway through the thorax here. And we're going to put in a second pair of legs. Hey, again, I just use the whole dang thing, not too worried about waist. And button that down over the top with a few turns. Okay, and then I'm going to come the opposite direction for a few turns. Like so. Now I'm going to go up a little bit further. Add my final set of legs. Same way. The dogs are panting. Oops, don't like how that one slipped, so I'm going to come back and do that one again. And the opposite direction. And then I'm going to come up here to the eye of the hook. So, super buggy. There'll be some long legs, don't worry. We will trim them, but I'm also going to take little dabs of super glue across the top of those legs just to make sure they don't go anywhere. And it helps to anchor the chenille as I wrap the body. Okay, so now I'm going to take the chenille, and it's kind of hard with the camera right here. We're just going to wrap chenille going forward, being careful with the legs because we're going to move them where we want them. Just hit that lead so it's going to get nice and bulky. Okay, one wrap in front, coming up to the next set of legs, kind of pull them out of the way. And then pull them back because now I got to wrap in front of them. And approaching the last set of legs. Whoops. And go in front of that last set of legs. And I'm going to wrap this almost up to the eye of the hook. And then just going to anchor that down. Pull those legs back, get them out of the way. Anchor that down with a few turns. Reel that line back up. I'm going to pull this thing aft. Trim it off. Look at all that. Hey. So now, I like to come in here and make a few wraps by the eye of the hook. Kind of pull some of those fuzzies out of the way. Gives the antenna a little bit more of an antenna type look, which is cool. And I'm going to whip finish, and then we'll trim the legs and the antenna. Got the camera in a really awkward place tonight. A few good turns because that Nanosilk likes to come undone sometimes. Trim that off. And then I'm going to UV the head of this thing. Like so. Cure that. Okay, so time to trim. I definitely don't like the tail that long, so approximately halfway up the thorax, I'll pull that forward and trim it. That may be a little short, a little bit longer on these guys. There's the antenna. And then I suppose you could take these big long legs now, tie knots in them, but whatever. I don't do that. I'm gonna pull these legs straight up and I'm gonna trim them all off the same spot. Boom. Push them back down to where they were. And that, my friends, is my version of the rubber leg. Notice how from the top, it's real thick. The bottom's just got a nice profile, weighs a ton. It's a great bug.